Australia and North America are two very different land masses, separated by thousands of miles of ocean. Still, each has evolved similar animals with the killer instinct to fill specific niches in their ecosystems. Two animal families on the two continents show striking similarities: Australia's fierce marsupial carnivores and North America's fearsome weasels. We'll take a face-to-face look at the Tasmanian devil and the North American wolverine. We'll swim with the platypus and the river otter. We'll take to the trees with the quoll and the pine marten. And then we'll look at two species on the edge of extinction, the numbat and the black-footed ferret. Get ready to explore the contrasts and surprising similarities between these fascinating predators from two continents. The island state of Tasmania is a kind of Australian Eden, home to many unique creatures found nowhere else on this planet. One is the most famous of Australia's predators, the Tasmanian devil.
He can hear me, but he really can't see me. They've got really good hearing, but very poor eyesight. What I've snuck up on here is an old devil. I can see that because of the scars on his rump that he's got from fighting, the size of his head and his shoulders. They're much, much heavier than a young devil. Now, the young devils, it seems to me, with their lighter build, are more pursuit and pounce hunters, where the older devils are more scavenger. He's just tearing into a young eastern grey kangaroo carcass, which could have been killed by younger devils, and he's just chased them away. Crunch, crunch, look at that. I'll just sneak off again. Don't want to disturb him too much. He's watching me now.
The Tasmanian devil evolved into a tough, stocky animal, built low to the ground with a demeanour as ferocious as the animal's appearance. Perfect characteristics for an animal that excels as both a hunter and a scavenger. Thousands of miles away in the North American Rocky Mountains, another animal has evolved to fill a similar niche in the ecosystem: the wolverine. Aside from the basic differences that the Tasmanian devil is a marsupial and the wolverine is not, the animals are strikingly similar. The wolverine is the largest land-dwelling member of the North American weasel family. Pound for pound, one of the fiercest animals alive. Perhaps no other carnivore in North America ranges as far and as wide as the wolverine. A male's territory, which can be as large as 1,000 square miles, typically overlaps the ranges of several females. Often, during the warmer months, wolverines seek out the cooling relief of a stream. The wolverine is mostly nocturnal, but can be active at any time, alternating between foraging and resting at 4-hour intervals. A consummate scavenger, the wolverine's primary food source in winter is carrion. But in summer, with less dead animals available, this adaptive predator must actively hunt alternate food sources. Wolverines are resourceful. Through experience, they learn where to find certain kinds of food at specific times of the year. The animal submerges its head to look for a meal. A wolverine's hearing and eyesight are poor. Generally, when hunting, it relies solely on a keen sense of smell. But underwater, its eyes are effective enough for fishing. finally, patience pays off and the fish is forced into a shallow area of the stream. Then it's only a matter of time before the slippery food can be carried onto dry land. The wolverine has 38 teeth, including 6 incisors for cutting and 2 sharp canines for puncturing. The remaining teeth are very specialised serrated molars, which do the bulk of the eating work, tearing and grinding flesh as well as crushing and pulverising bones. The prize is carried to drier land to finish off the more delectable parts. Finished feeding, the wolverine descends to continue the hunt. Besides fish, wolverines have been known to eat rabbits, porcupines, squirrels, marmots, birds, eggs, fowls, mice, and even plant material. There is almost no limit to both the wolverine's diet selection and its appetite. The animal ascends a tree trunk and is using its semi-retractable 1.5-inch claws. It rips down a large piece of bark. Wolverines sometimes feed on berries and roots and typically inspect logs and bark for the presence of insects, grubs, and other wood-dwelling edibles. This time, it yields no result. But the wolverine is persistent and follows a familiar scent coming from underneath a rock. The prey seems to elude the predator, but the wolverine has evolved to be patient. Next on Killer Instinct. In Australia, Rob shows how this little devil got his big bad reputation. And in North America, the wolverine goes on the hunt.
We've got Australia's largest carnivorous marsupial tearing into a wombat carcass. We're not far from the road. And I reckon this wombat got hit by a car, crawled in the bush here and died. Tasmanian devils have an exceptionally good sense of smell. I've noticed they've always got wet noses and it's always working. And they probably found this carcass like I did, by smell. Doesn't smell real good. They've also got really, really good hearing. And I reckon if any more come, they're going to find it because of the ones that are feeding make a lot of noise. They scream. And it's that scream that has given the Tasmanian devil its name, the devil.
To survive here, the devil had to evolve the ability to withstand the extremes of climate inherent to Tasmania's rugged mountainous terrain. Across the ocean, the wolverine had to do the same. With its heavy coat and fat reserves to insulate it from the winter cold, the wolverine must take measures to stay cool in the summer heat. It also is less skilled at travelling on snowless ground. On a thick blanket of snow, the animal excels. Its 4-inch long feet are surrounded by thick fur which acts as a snowshoe, keeping it from sinking. But summer, especially as fall approaches, does also have its positive aspects. Insects and grubs are readily available. All it takes from the wolverine is a little exploration and effort. Even more beneficial, small rodents are frequently out and about gathering food for the coming winter. It fights back, biting the wolverine on the tongue. But in a moment, the mouse is consumed. The animal comes across a dead mammoth. Wolverines often store their food for later, but in times of abundance, they can be careless, not even bothering to bury their food, simply marking it with urine. Even though the bulk of the meat on this marmot may be already gone, the wolverine can still gain nutritional value from it, cracking bones with powerful jaws to get at the nutrient-rich marrow. Less than 50 yards away, the original owner of the marmot has returned. The convergence of two wolverines is rare, but in this case, probably not a coincidence. This is the month of August. The mating season of the wolverine is a long one, extending all the way from May through September. This helps ensure that the widely dispersed males and females do eventually find each other. Coming up, the other fascinating family members of Australia's marsupial carnivores and the North American weasels.
You can imagine the early settlers hearing in the night screams like this and coming out with a lantern, and all they can see is teeth and a white blaze on the chest of this horrific noise. You can see why they called him a devil. When you hear those jaws crunching into those bones, these are a creature you don't want to get bitten by. They've got more pressure in their jaws than a pit bull terrier. Now that noise isn't only to let other ones know there's a feed on. There's that saying, the squeaky hinge gets the most oil. Looks like here the noisiest devil gets the most food. And if you hear those jaws on those bones, oh, here comes another one. As you can see, most of that fighting and screaming is only bluff. They're not really hurting each other. But I suppose the one that makes the most noise is chasing the other ones away. They don't want to get hurt either. About 40 or 50 years ago, there weren't many Tasmanian devils in Tasmania, and they were worried about the population numbers. But judging by what's coming to this carcass, that's not the case now. There seems to be quite a few around. You might notice sometimes they stick their tails up. That's just a state of heightened excitement. Probably makes them look a bit bigger. After I leave here, probably more will turn up. And by morning, there's a good chance there'll be absolutely none of this carcass left. They'll have eaten everything.
The Tasmanian devil belongs to a group of animals called marsupial carnivores. The animals in this group vary greatly in size and appearance, but they all share some basic similarities. Most prominently, they have a pouch for the feed and care of young, and are ferocious predators. In North America, the wolverine shares basic traits with other members of the weasel family. All are fierce hunters, and all have well-developed musk glands, which they use for marking territory. The skunk also uses the fluid from its musk gland as a self-defense mechanism. 4 species of skunks are found throughout the United States, all capable of saturating enemies with a pungent and long-lasting stench. All 4 have a bold coloration pattern of black and white. The skunk is equipped to stand its ground. In contrast, other mustelids have for the most part evolved coloration that blends with the environment, helping to camouflage them for hunting and hide them from potential aggressors. The fisher is an infrequently seen resident of Canada and the forested areas of the northern United States, with a home range of 50 to 150 square miles. Porcupines are its main summer prey, but it is also a capable digger that can root out rodents and their offspring. Similar in body shape, the wolverine is the largest of the land-dwelling mustelids. Its range extends far north of the fishers, starting in the northwestern United States, and encompassing all of Alaska and the upper reaches of Canada. The animal is a ferocious and tenacious carnivore, relying on carrion and hunting smaller prey. Other animals give it a wide berth. It's not unheard of for a wolverine to chase a bear or even a mountain lion from a kill. Also fearless is the North American badger, found all across central and western North America. Badgers are the ultimate natural excavators. A wedge-shaped head and razor-sharp 2-inch claws are perfect for probing into holes of burrowing rodents, ranging in size from deer mice to woodchucks. During warmer times of the year, the badger often seeks out rivers and streams for cooling relief. Coming up, they both have thick fur, webbed feet and spend most of their time in the water. The big difference? One has a duck's-bill. The platypus evolved to fill a special niche in its environment, spending most of its time in the waters of streams, rivers and lakes of eastern Australia and Tasmania. Its thick fur insulates it from the cold water, almost like a wetsuit, and webbed feet help to make it an agile swimmer.
Come on, mate. This little crustacean is what that platypus has been searching for, and these rivers are just teeming with them. Get over. Gotcha. What makes Tasmania such a clear window into the past are things like these stoneflies. They're 200-million-year-old remnants from Gondwana, and they can be found nowhere else on this earth than here in Tasmania. They look a bit like a cross between a cricket and an earwig to me.
The river otter fills a similar niche in the rivers, lakes and streams of North America and shares many similarities with the platypus. It's designed to be energy efficient when swimming. Its torpedo-shaped body is streamlined with tiny ears to reduce the drag in the water. That, along with the front and rear webbed paws, make it the best swimmer of the continent's land-based mammals. the otter's nostrils shut tight as it submerges. Large lungs aid in regulating buoyancy and allow the animal to stay underwater for up to 4 minutes, swimming up to 1/4 of a mile before coming up for air. The river otter is protected from the elements by a 2-layer coat, a thick oiled underfur and an external fur of long guarded hairs, all keep the water from contacting its skin. And under the skin is a layer of fat extending over its entire body that insulates from the cold. The otter's near eyesight lets it see just as well under the water as on the surface. All these features come together to make the river otter perfectly equipped as an underwater hunter. The animal eats the fish head first. And after a few minutes, all that is left is the tail fin. Nature puts the river otter at the top of its food chain. For millions of years, very little threatened its life, until man came along. From the time the first European settlers arrived in North America, otters were heavily trapped for their pelts. In 1794, 51,000 otter skins were exported to England alone. River otters went from being abundant to nearly extinct in the lower 48 states by the end of the 19th century. In the 1900s, the animals became protected, causing a slight recovery. But later, as human population expanded, habitat was lost and polluted, and the animals declined again. A bone-chilling mist covers the Tetons today. A lone otter takes time out from the hunt to rub his fur clean in the snow. Then is back into the frigid water to resume the hunt for food. The river otter has been labelled as a detriment to the trout population, but recent studies have shown quite the opposite. The opportunistic otter would rather catch slow-moving crayfish or rough fish rather than trout if there's a choice. Often, otters actually enhance the trout population by ridding the stream of unwanted rough fish. Coming up, whether you live in Australia or North America, it's the same. There's always somebody bigger who'll try to steal your hard-earned food.
Dingoes can be called the Australian wolf. They're our top predator. It must be remembered that dingoes have been in Australia for around 4,000 years, and a vacancy existed for a top predator. Here, the dingo filled that niche perfectly.
Dingoes primarily feed on feral pigs, goats, emus, rodents, and especially rabbits. In fact, it is said that after a drought, the dingoes can keep the rabbit population down for at least 2 years. But as the top predator, the dingo is also happy to steal catches from smaller predators that it might happen upon. Probably the dingo's closest counterpart in North America is the coyote. It too will steal prey from smaller predators, especially an otter with a big trout. Interactions between the two species are not uncommon. The otter smells this large intruder but pays him little attention. The coyote, on the other hand, is quite interested. He has learned that otters and fish go together, and coyotes are quite fond of fish. The otter makes a hasty escape on the thin ice. The otter's strategy is to eat the fish before the coyote can challenge him. But the coyote moves too quickly. He's decided that the fish is a prize worth fighting for. But so has the otter. Pound for pound, a 20-pound otter is one of nature's toughest animals. It's not uncommon for a coyote to kill a young otter or one that is past its prime. But this healthy adult river otter is too much for the coyote and soon convinces him to seek food elsewhere. And the river otter once again settles in to eat his catch. Coming up, we compare furry hunters on 2 continents. Both have sharp teeth, big appetites, and are built to live in the trees. Another of Australia's marsupial carnivores is the quoll, a small, furry, almost cat-like animal with a fierce attitude.
This little critter hanging off my arm is an eastern quoll. It's one of the 3 larger marsupial predators of Tasmania here. Usually prey on insects, frogs, lizards, and smaller mammals and birds, but today it's picked on something a bit bigger, my arm. Not too keen on being held. It tickles a little bit, I tell you. Anyway, this is only one of the quoll species here in Tasmania. There's another one, and he's quite different. I can tell you what, I don't want that one hanging off my arm. This one's big enough. Judging by the holes in my arm, it's got quite a good set of fangs there. Luckily, they only grow to 1 kilo in weight. But you can understand how it can actually crush the head of a bird or a rat, no problems at all.
Quolls have evolved to fill many specific niches in the ecosystem. The spotted tail quoll has adapted to live mostly above the ground in the trees.
I've got a spotted tail quoll here. He's different to the smaller eastern quoll. He's much, much bigger, longer legs, and he's arboreal. He does a lot of his hunting up in the trees. Scientists believe that he's not that common in numbers because of the pressure of the Tasmanian devil and the smaller eastern quoll. They take up quite a bit of his prey.
In the arboreal forests of North America, the spotted tail quoll's equivalent, spending most of its time in the trees, is the pine marten. Like most members of the weasel family, martens are solitary throughout the year. with the one exception of the mating season, which lasts from July to August. The implantation of embryos is delayed until the following year, so the young can be born in the early spring. Availability of food drives the birth rate. If food is abundant, the marten will produce more offspring. A marten feeds on a variety of different small rodents. The red squirrel is the most common prey, but it also hunts small rabbits, reptiles and birds. Movement attracts the animal's attention. Patiently, the hunter stalks its prey. During winter, the animal must consume more food to keep its lean body warm, but it has a thick, lustrous coat that helps as well. The marten will feed on all that it can before abandoning its food. Occasionally, martens do store their surplus food, but they're poor diggers and they often leave leftovers uneaten, especially in the warmer months. A marten is a superb tree climber. It has sharp, non-retractable claws which aid in the climbing and holding prey. In an ideal habitat of coniferous forest, a typical marten has a home range of 5 to 15 miles. The solitary marten can be active at any time, but prefers to be out when it's dark or overcast. The animal's diet is not limited to hunted prey. It also includes carrion, insects, worms, berries, seeds, and eggs. The animal needs the protein equivalent of 3 mice per day to survive. These small eggs meet that requirement and more. A flexible diet is a useful adaptation, especially for the marten, which feeds on animals with varying population cycles. Next up, another of Australia's feisty quolls and a wet and furry counterpart in North America.
What's that over there, hey? That's a part of a water dragon. Something's had a decent feed on him. This could be a good sign. Looks like a bit of a log up there. Here's lend you a torch. I'll just go and have a look. There's a hollow down this end. There's one in here, mate. Beauty. I'm lucky he's got his tail towards us. I've got you a tiger quoll, or a tiger cat. It's the largest of the quoll family, and it's still pretty prevalent on the mainland. Now, when you look at the teeth of this thing, ooh, they're pretty strong too, hey? Well, I had a tiger cat for you, or tiger quoll. They're pretty strong, as you can see, and I'm pretty lucky to get away with my fingers, I suppose. Now, this tiger cat is an excellent predator. Climbs trees, probably eats a lot of sleeping birds, big enough to take down a possum and other marsupials like bandicoots, even reptiles.
Like his cousin, the famous Tasmanian devil, quolls have just as fearsome a reputation.
And you wouldn't want those teeth sunk into your fingers, that's for sure. Look at those fangs. You can see he's a real carnivore, this fellow. A killer. Now the feet, if you look at the feet, 5 toes on the front foot and only 4 on the back. And look at the pad there, it looks like he's more terrestrial than arboreal. Come in a couple of colours. This is a black one. They come in a tan or black, and if you look at those teeth there, you really don't want him to sink them into you, that's for sure.
Another member of North America's weasel family, reminiscent of Australia's quoll, is the mink. But this animal spends most of its time near water. Minks are found throughout North America, Northern Europe and Russia as well, in wooded habitats where riverbanks and lake shores occur. This adult female occupies a territory that encompasses about a mile of riverbank and extends less than a quarter of a mile in either direction away from the shoreline. Minks are superb swimmers, often hunting and killing prey underwater. The female makes her way to her offspring. The young weigh less than half an ounce at birth, but they quickly grow to adult size. Females reach full maturity by the fall, while males continue to grow into their second year. The mother transports her brood to a nearby burrow. Often mink use natural cavities along the banks of rivers and streams. One of the young returns using its instinctive swimming abilities. When juveniles disperse, they may travel as far as 10 miles from their place of birth, a long distance for such a small animal that requires a very specific habitat. The mother assists with a firm grip to the back of the neck. Coming up, 2 species on 2 continents with a similar predicament. Very, very close to extinction. But now, there's hope. There are many interesting similarities between the marsupial carnivores of Australia and North America's weasel family, evolving thousands of miles apart. Unfortunately, one similarity is that species on both continents have been driven very close to extinction by man in recent years.
Back in 1982, numbats were regarded as the most endangered species of animal in the world, with only a few hundred remaining. But don't worry, that's why I'm here at Yucumara in South Australia, to find out how they've come back from the dead.
Australia is a land of change that doesn't always happen for the best. It's a sad truth, but native animals like the numbat are usually the first to suffer from progress.
Some 200 years ago, before European settlement, these little fellows lived right across the whole of the southern of Australia. Today, you're lucky to see any. So this is a real treat in getting to hold one and see it up real close and personal.
Until sanctuaries like Yucumara were set up, the numbat was extinct in most of its range. A small population surviving in the southwest corner of Western Australia. Luckily, native breeding programs were successful.
We started with the 10 numbats in November, December 1993, and from then it's really grown unbelievably. Around 120, and probably one of the better things that we've done with the numbats is to actually send some back to Western Australia a couple of years ago. That was a real bonus.
Today, the black-footed ferret is the most endangered mammal in North America. It is extremely vulnerable because it relies on a single species for food, the prairie dog. Prairie dogs live in large colonies of up to 1,000 or more animals. With the approach of danger, they give a shrill alarm call and head underground. An infrared camera captures the prairie dog in complete darkness at the end of its winding burrow. Powerful bite to the neck dispatches the prairie dog in seconds. This is the typical method of killing for all members of the weasel family. Once a meal is assured, the black-footed ferret often moves its prey to what it considers a safer den. The ferret restricts its activity above the ground in the daytime to a bare minimum. Black-footed ferrets were once common all across the vast grasslands of the continent. Now the animal is found only where captive-bred individuals have been reintroduced. Aubrey Valley in northern Arizona has over 100 on-site breeding pens where black-footed ferrets are born and raised and eventually released into the surrounding wild habitat. We recently joined field biologist Tom Sylvia for an early evening release of an adult black-footed ferret.
We usually have to try and distract her to turn around. And there she goes.
Originally, ferrets were found from southwestern US to the southern region of Alaska. But as humans killed off prairie dogs and converted their grassland habitat to farmland and housing developments, the ferrets disappeared. By 1987, there were only 18 black-footed ferrets left in the world. A massive effort was launched to save the remnants of the population. Over the next 11 years, over 2,600 ferrets were produced in 7 different breeding centres across the country. Another morning comes to Aubrey Valley, and Tom Sylvia and his team of biologists prepare to release 2 more black-footed ferrets into the wild. The animal is coaxed gently into a shoebox-sized release pen. Then the ferret is sprayed with an anti-tick fluid to assure that the insect will not spread any disease into the population. Finally, with the cage firmly placed over the burrow, the door is opened and the ferret heads underground. Over the next year, Tom and his team will go out periodically at night and look for the telltale green eyes of ferrets. Once one is spotted, they'll place a circular electronic sensor over the burrow where the ferret was last seen. When the ferret later comes out of the hole and passes through the ring, the sensor picks up a faint signal from a tiny transmitter implanted in the animal's neck before its release. From this signal, a specific ferret is identified and can then be recorded. The nationwide ferret reintroduction program has been hailed by biologists and wildlife experts as one of the most successful programs of its kind. With a little luck, combined with the care, patience and knowledge of researchers and biologists, the black-footed ferret has been rescued from the very brink of extinction.
I'm Rob Brettle. Thanks for joining us on Killer Instinct.